Hey everybody, hopefully you enjoyed today's show. I flew solo this morning and we talked a lot about what's, the conditions that were going on in the lagoon, how you can get out there and catch a bunch of redfish right now, or whenever these particular type of conditions arise, which is typically every fall. So you can use this information for every fall from here on out if you want to. We also got a chance to talk with some guys about some hunting and a little bit of offshore activity, especially more so on the billfish and tuna side. But it's also stuff that applies to you guys that like to chase dolphin, wahoo, and other species. So towards the end of the show, Captain Kyle Weaver called in and we talked about different things to look for whenever you're trying to fish offshore and how to go about finding those things. So hopefully you enjoy today's show.
Well, good morning, guys and gals, and welcome to another edition of Catch a Memory Outdoors right here on WWBC 1510 AM. We appreciate you guys tuning in every Saturday morning to see what's going on right here up and down the Space Coast and actually all over the world, because we're going to have a call in later today from we're going to do a segment of Where's Captain Kyle. It's kind of like the Where's Waldo when you were growing up, but where's Captain Kyle this week? We're going to find out what's been going on with him. So we're excited about having him on. Appreciate you guys tuning in to all of our frequencies. Obviously, we've got the 1510 signal that's going to turn on here in about 15 minutes or so. So obviously those guys and gals can't hear on that just yet, but we can also be heard on 99.9, 94.7, 100.7. The streaming app, WWBC streaming app. If you guys haven't downloaded that app, you got to download it. That's a fantastic app. It plays exactly what's on the station live at any given time. And of course, for those of you guys and gals that are out there on Facebook, we appreciate you tuning in. Good morning to you guys and gals. I didn't bring my light today, so it's a little darker in here than what it normally is. But you guys get the gist, and you don't really need to see my face anyway. As they say, I've got a face for radio, not a face for TV. But good morning to everybody out there. We got man, I tell you what, this has been an interesting week of fishing for me. And hopefully, if you guys and gals got a chance to get out, I didn't see a lot of boats on the water this week, but if y'all got a chance to get out, then hopefully you had as much success as I did. And this was a really, really good, as bad as the weather was, the fishing was really pretty darn good this week. We had a full moon. Normally a full moon kind of shuts the bite down. Well, at certain times it was slow, but for the most part, it was good. I think the least number of redfish we caught this week was 9 on a 6-hour trip, 5 to 6 hour trip. So, I mean, that's not fantastic numbers, but it's not horrible. And then, of course, we had some other days, we caught, more. We had one day we caught 26 redfish. So it just depends on where you are, what you're doing, and what you're using. And we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. Want to say good morning to those of you guys out there on Facebook. Appreciate you all tuning in on that particular, portal, if you will, to get to the show. This is a fantastic way for you guys and gals to get on board. Did see so my buddy Carl Harmoning is on there, and I did see that there's a bunch of ducks starting to show up. I actually saw geese this week, which was really interesting. They must have been lost. I saw quite a few. So, well, we'll get into this a little bit later in the show, but I did do some hunting last week, as those of you that listen to the show regularly. I was out hunting, and unfortunately, I didn't have very good signal, so I couldn't call in. I did get on to listen to the show just a little bit via the Facebook feed, very, very briefly, but then the signal kind of crapped out on me, and I couldn't pick it back up. I couldn't get it to stop buffering and start running again. But that happens when you get up into deer country, away from the civilization, and that's exactly what I needed last week, was just a little bit of time away. But going back to the redfish, there's a lot of water out there. We're under flood watches. We've got high water. So talked to a couple of people at the boat ramp, and they're like, "How'd you do?" And I said, "No, we did pretty good." And they're like, "Man, we didn't catch anything except catfish. We caught catfish." Well, you're close. If you're catching catfish, you're close. You may not be right on the spot, but you're close to the spot, because the redfish and the catfish have basically been running together. So as I mentioned just a minute ago, sometimes you're catching 7, 8, 10, 15, whatever it is, redfish in a half-day trip. Or I should say redfish in a half-day trip. You're catching that number or more, sometimes double that number of catfish. So one of the things that I was going to share with you all this week, obviously I've been doing this a long time. I've been chartering full time for basically 28 years as of last month. And then I had a couple of years where I just did it part time. So overall, I've been chartering for just about 30 years now. And what's interesting is that there's always something to learn or something to refresh yourself with or something that you can tweak. Okay. And this week's tweak, if you will, was finding flowing water. There's nothing new about that. That also had mullet. If it didn't have, if there wasn't mullet around, and obviously we all look for mullet. We go down the flat. You're like, oh well, Jim, I know that. I drive down the flat. We look around. We see where's the mullet. Okay. If there wasn't flowing water and mullet, you were in catfish land. I mean, catfish city. So you have to go to these places where there's flowing water. Now, how many different inputs come into the Indian River? Thousands, right? There are thousands of pipes that lead into the Indian River. There are thousands of little creeks and ditches and things that flow into the Indian River and the Banana River for that matter, because I fished the Banana River a couple of days and I fished the Indian River a couple of days. But I would go to a spot and I'd go, oh, hey, get ready, guys. We're going to catch them here. There's some flowing water here. We're going to catch them. And we would pull up there and we would throw some cut baits out. And by the way, if you guys are trying to throw lures right now, just put them away. Take the lures off, put them away. Now, you can catch a trout. If you're fishing out in the middle of the river, out deeper, you can catch a trout on a lure. You can catch a snook on a lure. You can catch a tarpon on a lure. Yes, those. If you're trying to catch a redfish this past week and probably coming into this next week, put them away. You're wasting your time. Cut bait is where it's at. Now, you can throw a live bait too, but I'm telling you, if you want to actually catch good numbers of redfish right now, cut bait is it. And it's one of those things where the water's gotten dirty, it's gotten high, it's gotten very fresh. And so the speckled trout have moved away from all of the shorelines. You're very rarely going to find a shoreline that has speckled trout on it. They're going to be out in deeper water where the freshwater inputs that are coming into the river system, the lagoon system, are not dropping the salinity levels. It's already dropping like crazy because of all the rain we've had. So those sea trout need a certain salinity level, just like our seagrass does. And it's I don't know what the exact parts per thousand is that sea trout can't tolerate, but I can tell you that whatever it is along the shorelines right now, it has reached that threshold. And you're not catching trout along the shorelines, hardly anywhere where there's a freshwater input. So, but the freshwater is good for red fishing. So, the redfish can tolerate it. They'll deal with it, but it's a cut bait scenario. It just is. And it's not glamorous. You're not sight casting to tailing redfish. Nope. That's not what we're doing right now. What we're doing is catching fish, but we're catching them on dead cut bait. And like I said, you find a creek input, you find a culvert pipe, you find one of these areas of flow, and that's what you want to be fishing. And if it doesn't have mullet, you're not going to catch a fish there. Like I was starting to tell the story here just a minute ago. Pull up to a spot. I'm like, okay, guys, this is a great pipe. This thing's always got redfish around it, and we caught one, and then nothing for another 30 minutes, except a couple of catfish. And I'm like, well, this is one of my best places, And I'm like, the spot we just left, we caught fish there. And the day before, we had caught fish here. But when I got back here the next day, there was really no mullet around that outflow. And it doesn't matter what size mullet. It doesn't matter if it's fingerling mullet, medium-sized mullet, or large mullet. It doesn't matter. There just needs to be mullet. So when you find flow in conjunction with mullet, that's where you're going to find the majority of the redfish right now. And they are keying in on those specific spots. The other places where you're going to find them are windward points, or sometimes the leeward side of the point. But a lot of the times on the windward side of a point. So here's an example, okay? If you're fishing in the Banana River and you go south, let's say you launch out of Kelly Park. I'm gonna tell you what I did the other day. We launched out of Kelly Park, drove around, hit a couple of spots in between 520 and 528, caught a couple of fish. But I was like, okay, we had some trout, we had some ladyfish. I'm like, okay, let's go see if we can find some redfish. So I went to one of my little spots that I like to catch redfish on that western shoreline, and nope, nothing. A couple of catfish, like 3 catfish. I'm like, okay, so let's go to the next spot. So I drive down to Big Island. Everybody knows where Big Island is on the Thousand Island chain of the Cocoa Beach area. It's the first island, it's the Big Island north of Houseboat Cut, and it's the westernmost island. So we've got an east/northeast wind. I pull up to the north side of Big Island. Get ready, guys. It's going to be on. We got a wind blowing right down this thing. We're going to have every redfish that's out along this piece of mangrove shoreline going to hit that scent trail from that cut bait, and they're going to come up and get on it. Pull up there, and I'm like, there's no mullet. Well, that's okay. I'm confident we're going to catch fish here. 3 lines go out, 3 fresh cut mullet. Actually, I had some pogies that day too. Cut pogie and cut mullet, and it's catfish palooza. And I'm like, we just got to weed through them, guys. There's redfish down this bank. We're creating a scent trail. Just get ready. It's going to happen. So when you first get there, you catch a couple of fish, and then there's this rush, if you will. Every single spot this week, it's ramped up, and then it's ramped back down. So you get there, you get 1 fish, and then 2 fish. Well, when the catfish or the redfish bites your cut bait, they create that, they're chewing on it basically. That creates a scent plume within your scent trail, which helps disperse the scent. And the wind's blowing around the north end of Big Island, and we caught 13 catfish or so and never got a red. But we had that crescendo to, where we had 2 on at a time, 2 catfish at a time, and then it would start to wane back off as you catch the fish along that edge. So I was like, man, this couple of days ago was such a good spot. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go down to the south side of Big Island. So we go down to the south side of Big Island. There's mullet. There wasn't mullet on the north side. There's mullet on the south side. Okay, let's put the baits out. Bam, 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 bam. Redfish, 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 catfish, redfish, catfish, redfish, catfish, 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 catfish. Okay, we've caught all the reds that were on this end of the island around all these mullet, because now we're getting nothing but catfish. Time to move. Go to the next spot, right? But that's what the pattern has been. It's not a hard pattern to figure out, guys and gals. It's a really, really easy pattern, and all you have to do is find the flow and find the mullet, and you're going to find the redfish. So, here I was expecting, that north end of Big Island to be, red hot, on fire, because it had been, earlier, but the mullet weren't there. They had moved completely to the other end of the island, and so did the redfish. And so, once you establish that sort of a pattern, you can pretty well pick out, you can eliminate a lot of time. So I spent more time on the north end of Big Island than I should have catching catfish. I should have realized it sooner. And even though I do this every day, you're like, well, they were here yesterday or the day before, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Oh, we absolutely wore them out right here. They're going to be here again. Well, not necessarily. So just keep that in mind, that yes, you're going to catch catfish. Get yourself a good de-hooker, circle hook, a 3/0 circle hook, and a piece of chunk bait, and a little split shot to hold it in place in this wind. And you will catch catfish, but you are going to get redfish once you find where the mullet are. That's the whole key to catching the reds right now. And this pattern is going to last probably for another 2 or 3 weeks, because the water's so high and it's a little dirty and fresh, you're not going to be getting those speckled trout. Now, like I said before, we've caught a couple of snook this week up to about 35, 36 inches, also on the cut bait. We caught some baby tarpon, 4, 5, one was about 8 pounds, also on that cut bait, which is a really cool bycatch, if you will. But right now, just be aware, you're going to weed through tons of catfish to catch those reds. But there's plenty of reds there once you find the right conditions. Well, we're going to take our first break of the day. We'd love to hear from you guys and gals. But if you have any questions, I'm going to go check into the Facebook feed as well here and say good morning to a bunch of people that are online. But when we get back, we got a whole lot more catching memories. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. Sea trout, tarpon, redfish, and snook hammer the saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad. With its amazing swimming action, this lure sets the bar for swim bait designs. Other companies continue to try, but none have been able to replicate the action of this incredible minnow-style lure. But Assassin has other proven designs. I like the native shiner-colored 5-inch shad assassin. That's my go-to lure when I'm targeting big gator trout. Redfish love the drunk monkey or the mudbug-colored 4-inch assassin shrimp cocktail. And you can rig these on a weedless worm hook or the amazing assassin spring-lock jig head. Now, these are just a few of my favorite assassin lures. Check out what top professional anglers have known for years. Assassin lures simply catch more fish, and you can get them at your local tackle store or go to bassassassin.com and get some of these fantastic lures for yourself today. Starbright Premium Marine Polish helps keep your boat looking great. This easy-to-apply premium polish uses polymers instead of wax, so it lasts up to 3 times longer than traditional boat wax. The polymers in Starbright Premium Marine Polish are also easier to apply, block UV rays better, and help keep fish blood, slime, and poop and other stuff from sticking to your gel coat. Starbright Premium Marine Polish isn't a wax, it's a sealer. It's safe for all fiberglass, paints, and polished metals. You won't believe how awesome Starbright Premium Marine Polish will make your car or truck look too. Wax is for surfboards, not boats. Protect your boat with Starbright Premium Marine Polish. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Graphics Direct. Direct Graphics over in Cocoa, 321-631-1001. If you're looking for any kind of great products to put on your, to promote your business or to put on your boat, I've seen a lot of people getting boat wraps, getting murals, and a lot of them look really cool. A lot of the offshore boats have got dolphin and wahoo and flying fish, murals down the sides of their boats. Look really neat. That's what Direct Graphics does over in Cocoa. So give them a call, 321-631-1001. And hopefully they'll build one for you that you really like, and you can get that on the side of your boat as well. We were talking about the red fishing, and it's not a hard pattern to figure out right now. It's not glamorous fishing, but it is fun fishing. And so it's one of those things where you just have to get out there and kind of put your time in and spot hop. It's a spot hop kind of a scenario. And of course I mentioned, basically just put the artificials away. If you don't catch your fish on artificial within the first hour, basically, of the morning, from sunrise or just before sunrise until about an hour after sunrise, put it away, because you're not going to catch them on that. They're not eating that. They're not chasing that. And so, coming back to the story, when I got back to the dock the other day, we had a fantastic morning. We had, 13 or 14 redfish. And, of course, we had the 15 or so catfish to go along with them. But pulled back up to the dock at Kelly Park, and there was another two anglers there, and they were like, "How'd you do?" And I said, "No, we did pretty good, And I don't normally tell people numbers of what we catch. So he says, well, what did you catch? Well, okay, so we caught, that day we had, it was like 12 or 13 reds. We had a snook, about a 35-inch snook. We had a handful of trout. We had a handful of ladyfish. And we had one baby tarpon that was about, 5 pounds. And he's like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, what were you using?" And I said, "Cut mullet." And he's like, he looks at his buddy and he goes, "I told you we should have gotten some bait." He goes, "We threw artificials all day and didn't hardly get a bite. And we lost a bunch of stuff to puffers." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much why I quit throwing the lures and went to the cut bait, so I didn't have to deal with that." So the other thing that I would say to you guys and gals is, I love throwing lures. Don't get me wrong. I would rather catch a fish on a lure than I would on an artificial lure of some kind than I would on a natural bait any day, honestly. But there's times they just won't eat them. So you can't be stubborn like that. You can't continue throwing something that's not working. Especially if you see fish. If you see fish and you're getting negative results from your presentations, you got to switch. I know you have your, whatever your lure is of choice, and that's your favorite lure, and they eat that, most of the time, whenever you're out there. But that favorite lure isn't always going to be your ace in the hole. And so you just have to understand what it is that the fish are looking for. And you also have to understand, like we were saying before, you have to understand the weather and the impacts of the fresh water that's coming into the lagoons and what it is doing and how it is moving the fish around. Like I said, it was so windy this week. It was one of those scenarios where you just had to hide from the wind and get into shallow enough water that you could just power pole down or anchor if you don't have a power pole, anchor down and fish those windward sides of those points of islands of, if there's a dock that's on a windward side, some kind of a piece of structure that has current flowing around it. And, I fished over on the Indian River side as well. And the water was so high, I tried to launch out of Parish Park on Tuesday. And the water was so high, I couldn't even get the boat off the trailer without getting the back seat of my truck basically in the water. So I pulled back out, tightened my bow line back down, or my winch strap back down, and drove over and put in at the Marina Park over on the west side of the river. So we had to kind of, beat our way out of there because it was blowing 20 and gusting to 25. So we had to kind of beat our way out of there, which, that's the one thing that's nice about having a bigger bay boat, especially this time of the year. The water's so high, you could basically take a 25-foot center console all the way up to the bank and fish right now. You don't have to have a flats boat. If you do have a flats boat, you have to be very careful about where you launch, especially when the wind's up like this. I met a new captain. I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he introduced himself to me at that park that day. And I was the only boat, trailer, and truck in that parking lot. And when I got back to the dock, there was a little 18-foot flat skiff tied up to the dock. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird, because you would normally think there would be another truck and trailer there for that to accommodate that flats boat. Well, this particular captain, he's a new captain. He's only been doing it for a couple of months, he said. Quit his other job and decided he wanted to be a captain. He launched at Kennedy Point Park. Now, Kennedy Point Park is on the windy side of the river this week. And you have to cross 4 miles of river to get to the leeward side. So what happened is that he got out and got to fishing and realized he wasn't going to make it back to that dock. So he came back in and put the boat in the slip there at Marina Park and got an Uber to take an Uber back down to Kennedy Point with him and his customers to get them back to their car and to get his truck and trailer. So you have to be, very conscious of your boat, of the boat's capabilities, of your capabilities as a captain, and of course, what the water conditions are going to be, wind conditions are going to be. Even though it may start off calm, you may end up, in a half-baked hurricane, if you will, which is what we basically had this week. We had, 1 or 2 mornings where it started off at 10 knots, and then 2 hours later it was 15, 18, blowing, gusting to 25 or 30. And then we had some days it was just 20 starting off, 20, 21 mile an hour straight wind and gusting to 30. So you have to pick and choose where you're going to launch based on your vessel. So that was, one of the things that I think as a young captain, he learned pretty quickly. And at least he did the right thing and came back into a safe port or a safe dockage and then got his people back to their car. So I applaud him for doing that. I thought that was pretty smart on his part. But you have to be really careful out there because that wind picks up and it gets nasty. Even in my 24-foot Skeeter, it's not fun some days once you get out into open water. So, just things to keep in mind whenever you're out there. But yeah, so going back to the fishing, if you're looking for trout right now, fish those deeper spoil islands. Fish areas along the channel, fish channel drop-offs, fish areas that are going to be 4 to 5 to 6 feet of water, and that's where you're going to find your speckled trout. The tarpon and the snook are still along the shorelines that are under the mangroves. A lot of times they're not right there with, they're not right there with the redfish, but they're sometimes not too far away from them. So just keep that in mind as well. We got a caller, or are we? Okay, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. So anyway, that would be my recommendation to you guys and gals if you're going to get out. Now, this coming week looks like we've got some better weather now that this low that's forming over the top of the state or south part of the state is going to push off, clear some of this weather out, and then hopefully we're going to have some better conditions. It looks like later in the week is going to be much better conditions than what we've had so far. This whole last week has just been a wash. In fact, I was going to do the catch conditions before we go to this next break, because you'll see that today is not the kind of day that you want to be offshore. But there's some interesting things that we need to talk about in the fishing and boating conditions that you can really capitalize on right now. So let's look at that. Small craft advisory is in effect, obviously, today and tomorrow. North winds at 15 to 20, becoming northwest at 15 to 20 by tonight. Seas are silly, 5 to 7 feet or more at about 10 seconds. The Ponce buoy. Here's the interesting thing, though. Water temperatures, with all of this cloud cover and all of this rain, all of this north wind, cloud cover is creating a much better scenario when it comes to water temp. So the Ponce 13-mile buoy right now is reading 79 degrees, even though it's 7 foot at 9 seconds. It's not something you want to be out in, but that water temperature has dropped. It was 84 2 weeks ago. So it's dropping quickly. What that's going to do is it's going to start bringing us more wahoo, dolphin, and blackfin tuna when we can get back offshore. The 20-mile buoy out of Canaveral, 82-degree water temp, 11 foot at 11 seconds. And the 6-mile buoy out of Fort Pierce is 81-degree water temp, and it's 6 feet at 12 seconds. Now, here's another interesting thing. For those of you guys and gals running out of Ponce Inlet, the Gulf Stream, western edge of the Gulf Stream is currently 51 nautical miles east of the inlet. That's a hike. But it's all that north wind that's been driving down along the coast. It creates a wedge, if you will. It creates a wedge of non-Gulf Stream water between the Gulf Stream and the mainland. So it's just driving south and creating a wedge and pushing that stream out farther. So if you're going out of Ponce, you're going to have to go a long way to get to the edge of the stream. And it may take that far, pretty close to that far, before you find clean water and rips and weed lines and things of that nature for you to actually fish. So, it may be better to trailer down and go out of Canaveral, because it's only 38 miles out of Canaveral, and that's not too far. There's a little jog in the stream right there where it kind of stays a little closer to the shoreline than what it could. And then 32 nautical miles out of Sebastian. So no matter what port you go out of right now, you're going to be making a pretty good run to get to clean water, it looks like. Here's the one thing I wanted to talk about, though. It's low tide right before daybreak. High tide at 11:48 a.m. And that high tide is going to be, you've got this king tides going on, just past the full moon. Water's way up. Easterly wind, easterly fetch. Water's way, way up. Your incoming tides are going to be very strong right now. So as you're fishing, those incoming tides are going to be actually probably stronger than your outgoing tides are. So you may find that your bite happens best on an incoming tide versus an outgoing tide if you're fishing inside of an inlet like Ponce or inside of an inlet like Sebastian. Maybe a little bit of that at Canaveral where you can hide and get in and around the rocks inside the port. But if you're getting out there and you're getting on the water, look at the incoming tide. Normally we kind of look more at the outgoing tide, but the incoming tide with that wind is going to be the stronger tide right now. So we've got a low at 6:20 p.m. and then a high again at 12:07 a.m. And that's at Canaveral. And then down at Sebastian, 11:58 a.m. is your high. 6:04 p.m. is your low. and 12:06 a.m. is your next high. So lunar tables. Now, this is the other really important thing. This week, the lunar tables are lining up very well with the dawn and dusk time periods. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to get out there early, because the lunar tables, the major is at basically from about 4:30 to about 6:30 this morning, and then again at about 4:35 to about 6:35 this afternoon. So right there as you're leading into dusk. And that's only going to get a little bit later each day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to get a little bit later. It's going to be a fantastic morning and evening bite. Your midday minor is going to be from noon to 1 o'clock today. So if you don't get out early and you want to get out, focus right around lunchtime or just a little bit after lunchtime over the next couple of days, and you should do pretty good. But the lunar tables were brought to us by All About Archery. Now, here's the other thing, and we'll talk about this a little later in the show, but we've got... Obviously, it's deer season. If you guys and gals are out in the deer woods, this is a really great major for the next week, basically. Your afternoon sits are going to be really, really good sits. Your morning sit may or may not, but your afternoon sit should be a really good sit. So just keep that in mind if you're going to get a chance to get out and climb up in your climber, your ladder stand, or sit in your ground blind. We're going to be right back after this next break. We got Captain Mike Mann on the line giving us the Mosquito Lagoon report, so don't go away. We've got a whole lot more Catch a Memory coming right back at you after these messages. We love to kick back and relax at either of their waterfront locations with a cool tropical frozen drink and some of the freshest island-style seafood around. Grills is known for its fantastic food quality, like their bacon-wrapped scallops, shrimp Cuban sandwich, or one-of-a-kind Bahamian fish chowder. The Tiki Deck features some of the area's best local bands throughout the week, plus Grills has a fantastic breakfast menu, too. Chill out at Grill's original location in the Cove at Port Canaveral, right next to Sunrise Marina, or check out Grill's Riverside location on Highway US 1, just north of the Pineda Causeway. Go to www.grillsseafood.com for more information, and remember, it all happens at Grill's. Nobody likes to pay for insurance, but you have to have it. So do what I did. Go to Petrucci Insurance. They're your local independent insurance agent, and they're here to make sure you get the right policy to fit your insurance needs at the best price available. I gave Petrucci Insurance a call. They reviewed my current policy and saved me $700 on my home insurance alone. Plus, Petrucci found me better coverage than the policy I had with my other company that I'd been with for years. Don't waste money another day. Call Petrucci Insurance at 321-632-1200. That's 321-632-1200. And stop wasting money on your home, car, boat, and life insurance today. Trailer problems can be a real day breaker. When you need to go to the area's best trailer supply and repair shop, try Ferguson's. Family owned and operated since 1954 and located on Highway 192 in West Melbourne, Ferguson's has a huge supply of trailer tires, wheels, axles, lights, jacks, and other trailer parts in stock. If you're not a do-it-yourselfer, stop by and pick up the parts you need. If not, let their expert staff do the repairs for you. Ferguson's also installs electric brake controllers, trailer hitches, and goosenecks. They have a full line of automotive and marine interstate batteries, so if you need a trailer maintenance, repair part, or a new Continental boat trailer, go to the best trailer shop on the Space Coast, Ferguson's. Check them out at fergusonstrailersupply.com or call their shop at 321-723-5425. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. Want to say good morning to a bunch of people that are online with us this morning. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in every Saturday out here to see what exactly is going on. We've got a lot of our regulars on there, but we've also got quite a few of you guys that are maybe new to the show. Got Carrie Ide out there. Chris Lyken, cuz, is on with me this morning. Shelly Simon Robinson, good morning. Hopefully you're enjoying the show today. Carl Harmoning, like I mentioned earlier. Charlie Silver, my good buddy over in Merritt Island. William Stratton's on with us. John Martin's on with us as well. Good morning. Orson Tarver, good morning to you. Just a bunch of people watching in this morning. Bo Berger on. And, yep, I'm alone today, buddy. Hopefully you did good I think he was going to the woods not too long ago, so hopefully he did good in the woods. Last week, I didn't do so good, but we'll talk about that later. And I'll tell you why I didn't do so good, because I outsmarted myself. Butch McCoy's on with us this morning. Larry Calderon, good morning. John Capt is on, and Mike was on with us here not too long ago. We're going to have to get John back in the studio as well here pretty soon. Jesse Dance, my good buddy. Jesse, I bought a bunch of shotgun shells, so I'm ready to come over and shoot some more clays. You'll have to give me a second chance at trying to keep up with you and your buddy over there, because they were killing them and I wasn't doing so good. But I'm working on it. And, of course, Jennifer Hall, Kip, this morning. Jana Bubar is on with us. Good morning, Jana. And, of course, Captain Kyle Weaver. They're up in the Maritimes, way up north. Probably a little chilly up there, I would imagine. But just want to say good morning to you guys and gals out there, and thank you for tuning in this morning. We're going to go, sound like Mikey's, we have a caller, but it looks like he sounds like he's busy getting his customers loaded up. So wanted to talk a little bit. Well, here he comes. Maybe he's coming back now. Hey, Captain Mike Mann's back with us. You got your people all situated?
Got the people in the boat. It was a little, with this north wind, it was a little rough pulling up to the ramp or the dock here at Canaveral. There's 3-foot rollers and 20-mile-an-hour winds. So
Mike,
a little challenge.
a lot of the docks here in the central Indian River, northern Indian River, and Banana Lagoon are underwater right now. It's making it's making it difficult to get your boat off the trailer and actually into the water and then have something to tie up to. One of the few places is Kelly Park on the Banana River. And then I haven't tried the new Lee Winter Park boat ramp since they opened it back up about a month ago. That ramp is normally high enough, but I don't know if the docks are underwater or not. But I do know that a lot of the other docks are underwater right now, and they're basically unusable. So you were mentioning up in the Mosquito Lagoon and New Smyrna area, you've got the same situation going on up there.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I'm kind of thinking with this predominant north wind, north wind in the Mosquito Lagoon tends to push our water out. So actually the water is lower at the ramp in Canaveral at Turtle Mound than it was yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So I'm thinking some of this north wind is going to kind of push this water out a little bit, especially switching northwest later on. I'm thinking that's going to kind of push it out. We've had a great bite. I was going to tell you, I meant to call you this week. We were talking last week. The mullet run has been kind of wah.
Yes,
well, it kicked off. It kicked off this week. I mean,
okay.
As I'm sitting here and I spent an hour trying to catch mullet this morning in the wind. Now I'm sitting here at the dock and I'm watching just pile after pile of finger mullet coming at me. And I'm like, wow, I could have made one cast here instead of 40 casts up where I was this morning.
Location.
Well, and it was where I have been catching them. They were in there. They were just staying down a little bit deep. And now that we've got a little bit of light, they pushed up on top.
Yep.
And that was how I found them this morning. I had just enough light where I could see them flickering below the surface and made a cast and ended up getting loaded up pretty well on them.
So if you're launching at the park boat ramp, then is the entire, I would say that probably the most, if not all of the parking lot's probably underwater, isn't it?
No. It's actually not bad down here.
No, it's dry. Okay.
Yeah, at the park. Now JB's was closed yesterday and today because the water's so high there.
Yeah, the water's over the docks there.
It's over the dock, and they've actually got the restaurant closed, I think, because there's so much water in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm hoping this northwest wind. And did you see what the low temperature is tonight?
Well, I woke up I didn't look at the temperatures just yet, but I woke up this morning and I saw at about 5 a.m. there was a front draped right across basically Cocoa and Titusville. And I was thinking to myself, on the north side of that, there's got to be some cooler temperatures. So is it cooler in New Smyrna this morning?
Well, right now I'd say it's probably about 72. The low tonight, though, is 66. And we're supposed to have 3 nights of 64 to 66. The water temperatures drop down to 78, 79, depending on where you are in the lagoon. And it already looks like the water's starting to clean up some between the rain and the cooler temperatures. We had 90-degree water a week ago.
Yeah. I had water in the 70s, low 80s and high 70s most of my spots this week.
Yeah, this week it dropped down some, but last week, I think when I did my charter on Friday, when I came off the water, it was bumping 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So
Now, what is your air temp there right now?
I'm going to guess probably in my truck this morning, I think it's at 72.
See, I'm not feeling it. I need to be feeling some of that, because right here in the studio in Cocoa, our temperature gauge on the computer board is saying 88 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's
so the front
88 degrees. I think your thing's broken.
It may be. It didn't feel quite that warm when I came in pre-dawn, but you know, it didn't feel cold. I didn't feel a noticeable coolness in the air. It felt warm and muggy, and 917% humidity. Even though it wasn't quite raining yet, but the humidity is through the roof, and it was muggy this morning. So I'm hoping that front slides another 10 miles, 15 miles south, and we get some of that here in Cocoa and Rockledge.
Well, I think it's probably going to push through this evening to get down to you, and I'm excited. I mean, the bite this week has been absolutely phenomenal, despite the weather and the weather forecast being mostly wrong. Yesterday was the only day they were correct. I mean, these guys that are on the boat with me today are longtime clients and friends from Georgia, and we were supposed to fish yesterday morning. I got up at 5. I said, I don't think it's going to happen today.
No, not happening.
But the bite's been, I switched over. I was throwing chunk bait, and I was throwing top water, and the top water bite, when the water got up really warm, it kind of slowed down, and then it's just been a little too windy to really throw artificials, but I switched from chunk bait to finger mullet this week, and they have been absolutely blasting them. Which I'm not, I use live bait a lot. It's not my favorite thing to do, but when they're blasting mullet on top, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Now, are you getting trout, reds, snook, or are you just getting just reds?
All three, trout, reds, and snook.
Okay.
And the reds are starting, I'm finding little schools of them here and there. So typically, if we get one bite there, we'll kind of scatter the baits a little bit and see if we can find the conglomeration of the school. Oh, good, more rain. and we're doing pretty good. We're having some a couple of double hookups on Thursday.
Yep.
So it's been a fun week, and I'm booked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'm pretty excited for the cooler temps.
Mike, I started the show off this morning for those people that are just joining in here at the 7:35, 7:40 minute mark. I started the show off saying, basically, if you want to throw artificial, it's first hour of the day, and then put it away, because you're not going to catch anything on it the whole rest of the day. You're wasting your time. And switch straight to cut bait. Now, personally, like you were saying that you've got a good bite going on live bait. Personally, I don't really like to run a bait well when I'm on the flat in the central or northern part of the Indian and Banana River system. There's not enough current flow. There's not enough. There's just not enough ambient noise, if you will, to warrant running the bait well, because it will chase fish away. They know what that sound is, and so I have just been using straight cut bait.
Yeah, I fill the live well and then just run the air rate. Just run the bubbler. I got a really quiet bubbler. Half the time I can't even hear it running. But, with this heavy wind we've had, you can stay so far off of the spot. I mean, you're making a long cast, but it's easy to make a long cast in this kind of wind.
Yeah.
And, and the nice thing with casting that far away, the mullet, I'm breaking the tails on the mullet, just breaking the fin part off. So they kind of wiggle really aggressively on top, and that's been helping quite a bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, the redfish bite down here has been absolutely fantastic when you find the redfish. And we were talking about that earlier, saying that, there's two things. So where you're fishing, you've got current flow around all those little islands, creeks, cuts. There's current flow in New Smyrna, Edgewater, Oak Hill areas. Down here, there's no flow. So we're looking for inputs. We're looking for freshwater inputs from culvert pipes, creeks, drainage areas, and then fishing those, because that's where we've been finding our best numbers. But you had to have mullet. If there were no mullet there and there was flow, there was very few fish. If you found flow and mullet, boom, you was like they're all right there. They're all there.
Yep, and that's where breaking the tail, just the fin part of the tail, or snip it with scissors, whatever makes you feel best about it. But, yeah, doing that makes that bait stand out from the other baits in the water.
Exactly.
I don't know how the 14% chance of rain is landing right on top of me all morning.
You know what I did this week? I actually put my Bimini top on the boat.
Did you?
And we used it a lot. And what was nice about the Bimini versus like a T-top, you can't adjust a T-top. Well, I'd put the power poles down, stern into the wind, and then I would adjust the Bimini so that it was canted down in the back and pointed up over the console. And we had, even though the weather conditions were really bad, we had the most fun, even though those little squalls would come through and this and that. It didn't matter. We were staying dry, and we just had the most fun this week, which typically you can't do that with a Bimini top very easily. But the conditions that we had this week were perfect for it.
Yeah, it was great. The Hell's Bay does not have a Bimini top, and I don't think I'm going to put one on anytime soon, but the Panga has one, and, the water's high enough. I probably could have brought the Panga, and it handles his chop a little bit better. But, guys, let me go get these guys on some fish. I've got days open throughout the month. They're kind of scattered. You can call me at area code 386-295-5991. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, CAPT, Mike Mann with 2 N's. Guys, get out there and catch a memory.
All right, buddy. Well, hopefully somebody takes advantage of that and you get out there and put them on a bunch of fish.
All right, sounds great, guys. Have a great weekend. Go Dogs.
Take care, buddy. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch a Memory coming at you, so don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages. Lures from No Live Bait Needed, Rapala, Mirror Lure, and Saltwater Assassin, and one of the largest selections of coolers and boating supplies in the entire state. Well, Ace Hardware in Titusville, that's who. Ace in Titusville is your one-stop shop for all of the fishing and boating supplies you'll need. Ace is just minutes away from the Titusville boat ramps, and their parking lot allows you to get in and out even when you're trailering your boat. Check out the largest selection of fishing and boating gear in the northern Space Coast area at Ace Hardware in Titusville on US 1.
If you listen to this show, you know Captain Jim Ross is a leading authority on light tackle fishing on Florida's Space Coast. Jim grew up on the banks of the Indian River Lagoon and has been a full-time fishing guide for almost 30 years. In that time, Jim's clients have landed over 30,000 trout, redfish, snook, and tarpon from our local waters. So if you're looking for an experienced fishing guide to take you on your next fishing adventure, book a trip with Captain Jim Ross. Just go to finelinefishingcharters.com to book your next trip with Captain Jim and get ready to catch your next
Hey, let me tell
memory.
you about Realtor Daniel Hart. He's a guy that really cares about helping his community and our local lagoons. Daniel has already donated thousands of dollars to the Indian River Lagoon Clam Restoration Project from the proceeds of property he sells, and he continues to do this every time he helps one of you buy or sell a property. This makes a huge impact each year for the water quality of our lagoons. Daniel is also passionate about first responders throughout his community. Through his Heroes Real Estate Group, Heroes Rebate Program, Daniel has personally donated over $70,000 to help police, firefighters, veterans, and even school teachers by returning money to them from the purchases of their homes. Going above and beyond for you is what Realtor Daniel Hart is all about. If you're buying or selling a property, call Realtor Daniel Hart to help. Daniel can be reached at 407-247-3894. Hey guys, gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. Flying solo in the studio this morning, and we just want to say thank you to all of those of you guys and gals that are out there watching on the Facebook feed or listening on the WWBC app. And, of course, all of you out there in Radio Land, thank you for tuning in this morning. We had a pretty interesting show so far talking about, little just simple techniques to catch you more fish. And right now, obviously, lures are not really working too good most of the day. So let's just stick with the live or cut bait and go about catching some fish. I did want to say, I was talking with Captain Glenn Austin, and Glenn has had a chance to get out a couple of days this week in this wind. And with this water being as high as it is, when you're fishing around the Sebastian and Wabasso areas, those mangroves down there are really, really big mangroves. And one of the things that Glenn has been using is croakers, because croakers are noisier baits than, say, a mullet would be, or a pinfish would be. And so by using croakers and fishing next to the mangroves, that croaker is making a noise, and he can kind of pull the snook, pull the redfish out to you, because some of those overhangs, when you look at those lower branches on some of those trees, they're 8, 10, 12 foot long. And so those fish are back against the root balls, if you will, or close to those root balls. And so you've got a pretty good distance between the outside edge that you can generally cast to and where the fish are actually holding in some cases. And so when you have that kind of an overhanging scenario, you need help. And that croaker, being a vocal type of a bait fish, obviously can help. And once again, cut bait is still working. Guys are like, I don't use a lot of cut bait. I talk to a lot of people that don't really use cut bait very much, simply because you catch a lot of catfish. But this week we've had multiple tarpon and multiple snook just in the Banana and Indian rivers fishing cut bait. And it's because, the scent that is carried will attract those fish. Now, here's the thing, though. I'm not a big fan, and the bait stores are going to hate me for this, but I'm not a big fan of buying frozen, prepackaged bait fish from the bait shop. If you can't cast net live bait and then cut it into fresh dead, then obviously you have to do something different. But what I do is, when the finger mullet are running, I will literally catch, a couple of netfuls, and what I don't use at the end of the day, I put in a little bit of salt water in a Ziploc and put the finger mullet in there and freeze it. And if you freeze them, if they're alive or just have died, okay, maybe you leave the boat ramp and you've got a 10 or 15 or 20 minute, 30 minute ride back to your house. In that time frame, most of your bait that are in your live well are going to die, because you just turn the bait well pumps off. You're not oxygenating them. They're going to use up the oxygen in the well. But those fresh baits, you immediately put them in Ziploc with a little bit of water. And when you pull them back out, it's just like when you've taken a fillet of fish and frozen it in water. It comes back out in better shape than it does if it has air around it. So I highly recommend that you guys and gals do that. And I typically use a quart-size bag, and I'll put a dozen finger mullet or so per quart-size bag, squeeze all the air out of it, and then freeze it in that little block of water. So when those baits come out, they're firm and fresh, and they're not mushy, and they don't turn black. That's the one thing that you'll see the difference between a fresh caught bait and a bait that you're buying a lot of times from the bait shop, is that the blood in the bait from the bait shop, in a finger mullet, let's say, or in a whole mullet, is black already. And if you freeze those baits before they've maybe laid in the deck of a boat or in a fish box for multiple hours before they got to the packaging, before they got to the fish market and then got packaged up, there's a definite difference in the freshness of the bait. And I really feel like, I will fish them side by side. So this week I did have a package of frozen bait that I bought from a bait store that I had in my freezer for, 5 or 6 months. And then I fished them side by side with baits that I had netted a couple of weeks ago and frozen. And the fresh baits outcaught the other baits on quality fish, okay, on redfish, trout, snook. The fresh baits outcaught the dead store-bought baits probably 3-1. It was a significant difference in them. Now, the catfish really like the store-bought baits. So not that, and yes, we did catch some redfish on them. No, we did not catch any snook or any tarpon on the store-bought baits. So I would say to you guys and gals, if you have an opportunity to net enough bait and freeze it, for this type of a scenario when you're using a cut bait, please do, because it is well worth it. Your catch ratio and the quality of the fish that you are catching go up and not exponentially, but a pretty good amount, a pretty darn good amount. And so my client on Monday landed about a 35, 36-inch snook was one of the fish that they had. We had some other smaller snook, 22, 23 inches, and then baby tarpon. And it was Donna and Rick Duty. Now, they've been fishing with me for, 8 or 9 years. And so they always come down and get 2 days in a row with me. They were shocked. He was like, I cannot believe that we're catching tarpon and snook side by side with these redfish on cut baits. I really thought that you needed live bait to be able to catch, especially the snook. Really thought that you needed live bait to catch the snook. Because we all know that tarpon are basically chrome-plated catfish, and they'll pick up dead bait. There's no secret to that. But snook are they're a different animal most of the time. They won't generally pick up something that's dead unless it really smells good. And so the snook that we did catch were on those fresh frozen baits versus the store-bought frozen baits. So, like I said, if you guys get a chance, guys and gals get a chance to freeze some, bring them home, throw them in a Ziploc, throw them in the freezer. I've got a bait freezer, obviously, in my garage, and I just throw them right in there and freeze them up, and then when I need them, I've got them. But that is a huge money savings, first of all. And second of all, I'm catching better quality fish because I'm taking the time to go ahead and net my baits and properly freeze them before they get the chance to, let's say, spoil. They're just better baits. So anyway, that's what I wanted to get across to you guys and gals is just get you some better baits. Well, you know what? We're going to take our top of the hour break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch Your Memory, so don't go away. We got a whole nother hour of Catch Your Memory coming at you right after these messages.
We wear the best brands like Reef, Mojo, Sperry, and Olakai, and now you can find them all at one really cool place, Go Native. Go Native constantly brings the latest styles to keep you and your kids feeling and looking cool year-round. Go Native is located right next to Ace Hardware in Titusville. Stop by Go Native and live the lifestyle.
If you're a shooting enthusiast like I am, you have to check out the incredible lineup from Kel-Tec. Developed and made right here in Central Florida, Kel-Tec is a leading industry manufacturer of shotguns, rifles, pistols, and guess what? They're all chambered in common calibers that we all love to shoot. Whether you're a weekend plinker or you want some advanced personal carry or home protection options, Kel-Tec makes exactly what you need. Find a dealer near you or check out the entire line of Kel-Tec weapons, accessories, and apparel by going to keltecweapons.com.
Your boat's upholstery looked great when it was new, but over time it gets dingy and stained. Starbright has the perfect combination for your problem. Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Cleaner and Ultimate Vinyl Guard. Starbright's Ultimate Vinyl Cleaner won't dry or fade your vinyl. It has powerful cleaning agents that blast away fish blood, grease, road grime, and more without harmful chemicals that ruin your boat's vinyl. Starbright's Ultimate Vinyl Guard is like a sunblock for your boat's vinyl cushions. It restores moisture and shine to sun-bleached vinyl without being slippery. Plus, it blocks harmful UV rays and helps keep your vinyl cleaner longer. Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Guard is great for plastic, rubber, and leather too. It's ideal protectant for trucks and cars as well. Use Ultimate Vinyl Guard on your car or truck dashboard, seats, and door panels. Heck, you can even use it on the sidewalls of your truck or trailer tires. Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Guard makes all your stuff look great.
Batten down the hatches. We've got another great hour with Captain Jim Ross and this week's special guest.
Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in to the second hour of Catch 'Em Memory Outdoors right here on WWBC 1510 AM. Got a big event coming up, and we're going to talk with Miss Lisa Fitzgerald from CCA about what's going on here next Saturday. And you guys and gals are going to be excited. If you haven't already got your tickets, you need to come get them because the CCA Star Tournament Banquet is coming up, isn't it, Miss Lisa?
It sure is, and we usually sell out. So if you haven't gotten your ticket, I would suggest that you go on to the CCA Florida Star website, get your tickets. The cool thing about that is the tickets are only $75. That includes your meal, and so you know it is chicken marsala. Yum yum. It is going to be a great meal. Chicken marsala, open bar, lots of great live auction, silent auction, and raffles. And the coolest thing, I can't thank you enough, Jim, Florida Insider Fishing Report has a trip that they're going to be raffling off in the live auction. It will be an auction. It's called the East Coast West Coast Trip. You can choose a half-day charter with some of the East Coast Fiffer captains and the West Coast. So you get 2 trips
Oh, wow.
in one live auction package. And that's going to be up. Some of the other things, there is a really cool package over at North Captiva Island. You can go there for 3 days, 2 nights, and an offshore fishing trip. That package is valued at over $6,000. 3-day, 2-night stay in a big private home, exclusive home called Rum Cove. Look it up on their website. You come over and you'll fish on the Calcutta 32 for a full day of offshore fishing. We also have a Steenhatchee trip where you will get to fish with Captain Danny Allen and stay at the Sea Hag. And then we have, with Captain Mike Anderson, a beautiful trip to the Billmore by Visit St. Pete Clearwater, and you'll be staying at the Billmore and fishing a half day with Captain Mike Anderson. Those are just some of the live auction
Those are some
items.
pretty good ones right there, I'm telling you.
Well, if you need a new trolling motor, we're going to have a Riptide Tarova on the live auction. We will have an Apex 13. We will have a downrigger, the Optimum Electric downrigger on the live auction. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. And all of this goes to support CCA Florida Star and the youth scholarships. To date, our youth scholarships have awarded over $1,100,000 in college scholarships to kids. You'll get to meet some of those people who have been awarded those scholarships and are going to school either to become a marine biologist, an environmental lawyer. Some of them are going to be fishing captains. There's just so many cool ways to enjoy this event coming up this coming Saturday.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
So my wife is happy that chicken marsala is going to be the meal of the evening.
Well, happy wife, happy life, right?
So she's going to be happy about that.
Well, I am so excited. I do want to let you know, if you've never tried Papa's Pilar rum, we'll be serving Papa's Pilar rum, Outlaw beer, Tito's, and Tin Cup whiskey. Open bar. Please, drink responsibly, but it is really going to be a fun evening with lots of really great prizes. We have Yamahas up for the live auction as well. There's just so many cool things that you can do. I have to thank the Florida Sport Fishing Association Fishing Club. Their volunteers are coming and helping us set up. So they'll be helping us on Friday and Saturday set up. And we're going to have a fun night of camaraderie. And if you ever wanted to beat Bree will be there, and she will be, meeting and greeting everyone. So if you ever wanted to meet Bree, this is the time to do it.
Yep. Yeah, she's going to be there. Dave Farrell is also going to be there, I understand. So
yeah, Dave is going to be there. Captain Blair Wiggins. So if you ever wanted to fish with Captain Blair,
yep.
He has donated a trip, and you can fish with him. There are so many. I keep saying it, but it's just cool. You don't have to be in the star competition to attend the banquet. You'll get to see everybody winning and know what you can win for next year. All kinds of boats. Custom Ginu is going to be there. We have 2 boats to give away from them. It really is a unique experience to see all of these winners get up there on stage and support conservation.
It's amazing, Lisa. Over $1 million of youth scholarships. Who would have thought that a public-based organization would be giving away this kind of money for kids to get out and pursue their dreams just for going fishing and maybe catching a trout or a redfish or whatever and submitting it during the competition. I mean, talk about a bonus. That's a huge bonus.
Well, and Jim, the coolest part, everyone says, oh, Lisa, all you ever do is go fishing. Well, no. One of the coolest things that I do for my employment with CCA is I get to call the parents and the kids and inform them that their child has won a youth scholarship.
That's awesome.
And the stories that I hear of how these kids, I never thought that I'd send my child to school because I didn't know how we were going to do that. And here we are giving them a $25,000 college scholarship covering tuition and covering expenses of books and different things like that, giving them a $5,000 scholarship. And the parents tell me that once these kids get engaged in the competition, they're begging every day during the summer, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, let's go fishing, let's go fishing, let's go fishing. Yep. And they're no longer on their computer playing video games. They're trying to figure out where they can go, where they can catch a fish, and submit it in the competition.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So
it's wonderful.
So, Lisa, we didn't have any winners for the tagged redfish division this year?
That is correct. We had 13 tagged redfish recaptured everywhere throughout the state of Florida. You had one over in Brevard County. You had several that were caught in Citrus County and in Charlotte County. There are destination counties, and they have a total of 8 tagged redfish in their counties, 4 more than any other county. But you're right. No one won because they were not a CCA member or in the competition. And here's the key word: before they captured that tagged redfish.
You can't go catch them and then try and sign up?
Right.
What do you mean?
Before you, yes. I can tell you, yes, I hear, yes, I'm registered and a CCA member. Did you do that before you caught it? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, well, just so that you know, we have the ways, technology is spectacular, so we have the ways to know when you caught the fish and were you registered before you caught that fish. Yeah. So it really is an easy process. It's only $80. And remember, 100 days of fishing. So if we do the math, if you register prior to the tournament starting, it's Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yep.
$80, it's less than $1 a day if you're fishing. Every other tournament is generally a 1-day or a 2-day event. This is 100 days, and every day that you fish, you can submit fish in the competition. It's a random drawing.
Right. So Lisa, how many redfish were put out statewide with tags in them?
Great question. Over 167 tagged redfish put out through the coastal waters of Florida.
So there's basically the potential for 150 redfish to be swimming around out there right now with tags in them that can still be caught.
And still win something.
And still win $1,000 Ingle cooler tumbler Ingle prize pack.
So you have to be a CCA member and registered in the 2026 competition. So go to the website, get yourself registered for 2026. If you recapture a start of any year, so Jim, you're not saying 150. We've had 10 years of releasing 167 tagged redfish in the coastal waters of Florida.
Wow.
I have fish that are recaptured from 4 and 5 years ago. They can still win a $1,000 prize package. What that means is you can go to the Angle Cooler website and pick out $1,000 worth of product. Let me know what you want, and I have it shipped to your home.
That's awesome. So there's no off season for the CCA Star Tournament.
Really, isn't.
It's 365 days a year if you want it to be.
Yes, that's exactly right. Exactly right. Great way to put it. Anytime you're fishing, I kind of call it an insurance policy. You know, you get this in case you catch a tagged redfish. I have a charter captain here on the west coast of Florida. Just yesterday, the 4th time one of his clients has recaptured a tagged redfish, and guess what? They were not registered in the Star competition.
You know what I need to do, Lisa? I need to get with you, or just, I do a monthly mail out. If somebody goes to my website and signs up for my newsletter, I send one out about once a month. I should put the link on that email mail out so that to tell people, hey, there is a potential for you to win prizes if you are a member and sign up for this tournament. Even though they may not be here during the official tournament time, they still can win the Angle Cooler prize pack in the off season.
Yeah,
in the off season.
And here's the other thing that I tell a lot of captains. What a marketing tool. Come fishing with me. Any fish you catch, your girls that fish with you, Amy and Donna, they submitted fish that they have caught with you, and they've won prizes.
Yes.
So any fish that you catch, hey, come fishing with me. If you're registered in the competition, we'll submit your fish, and you have a shot at winning a share of $500,000 in prizes over the summer.
That's pretty neat. That is a pretty neat scenario.
That's a great marketing tool for any charter boat captain. It's an additional bonus if they're fishing with you, that they get to, you submit their pictures or they submit their pictures. Man, what a way to market your business and get more people to fish with you. Come fishing with me. I know where there's a tagged redfish. I can't guarantee you're going to catch it.
But I have a pretty good idea where it's at.
Yeah. I can tell you our redfish that we release generally do not travel more than a quarter of a mile from where they were released.
Yeah.
And, this year we released one location in every coastal county to all of the anglers that were registered prior to the start of the competition.
So if somebody wants to get signed up and they want to sign up today for next year's event, how do they do that?
They can go to the CCA FLSTAR website, CCAFLSTAR.com website. Mm-hmm. You can register. There will be a registration location there for the 2026 Star, and there's also a tab there where you can purchase tickets for the award ceremony.
Get it all done today.
Get it done today. I can't encourage people enough, and even if you do not choose to participate in the in the competition, nor come to the banquet, you should, if you're a recreational angler, you should be a member of the Coastal Conservation Association.
I
Take
concur.
a look at what we do.
I concur.
$1 million, $1,100,000 in college scholarships is nothing compared to the $15 million in habitat restoration, water quality initiatives that we do for the state of Florida. And then pile on top of that all of the advocacy work that we do, helping to get the red snapper managed by the state, working on grouper initiatives, working on our sea trout, snook, triple tail, all of our inshore species. I mean, the work that CCA does, boots on the ground, we don't just talk about it. We get our boots dirty. We get our hands dirty. We do the work. and you guys are volunteers once you become a member, and you can get your hands and boots dirty too.
Well, two things before we let you go, even that we're a little past our break, but I want to let you know two things. One, the redfish releases that CCA has done has made a huge increase in the number of redfish that we're catching in the Banana River lately. All of those fish that went in at, say, 4 to 6 inches, those fish are now in that 12 to 15 inch range. And we're catching a lot of those fish right now. They're starting to actually become of catchable size. And two, with the contributions to the clam restoration project, we are seeing baby clams being spread all over the lagoon, thanks to you, Blair Wiggins, and all of the people at Whitney Labs and that are involved in that whole thing. Corey and Norm Kolch and Dr. Todd and Alex Gorichki and all of those people that are monitoring those things constantly. I saw for the first time in probably 2 decades, for the first time a school of baby pompano on the flat, not far from one of those clam release spots this week.
That is so encouraging.
Yes. And so what's really cool is, I'm idling along, just working my way in to a bank, and I start kicking up pompano, and they skip whenever you spook them. Okay, they start skipping. I had probably 18 or 20 of them skip away from. Actually, one of them bounced off the side of the boat. But skipping around in an area of flat where baby clams have spawned and then settled, have now gotten into the bottom right there, and they're all small. They're all just tiny things, but they're feeding baby pompano that are about 8 or 9 inches long, that are obviously going to grow into bigger pompano that we can then catch out of the lagoon system. So that whole scenario where you becoming a member of CCA and then CCA being able to help with these advocacy and restocking programs, it is a win-win for everybody. And I see it on the water, almost daily. But that was the first time I had seen that, and I wanted to let you know. I haven't told Blair. I should call Blair and tell him after the show about it as well, because
you guys can
he'd
talk
be
about
super
it
excited
at the
about
award ceremony. Yeah, he's going to be there. I can't tell you how impressed I am with all of the projects that people are now initiating. And don't forget, we have a $1 million grant project annually that we've been awarding to our chapters and to initiatives, other organizations, other conservation organizations. We've been providing them with grants so they continue to do good work. And it's all about everybody working together for one goal, which is the improvement of our marine fisheries. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, Lisa, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for letting us know how we can get involved in the STAR competition and get to the banquet that's this coming weekend here in Cocoa.
And I look forward to seeing many of your listeners there. I hope we have a full house, sold out house, so that we can continue to award all these youth scholarships and do the good work that we do.
Well, I look forward to seeing you Saturday, and until then, hopefully you're catching a lot of fish or spending some time in the woods.
Dove hunting this afternoon.
There you go. Well,
right.
Good luck on it.
Have a great day.
Thank
all
you.
Right.
Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch a Memory, so don't go away. Dirty footprints and spilled food all create a mess on your boat's deck. Here's a fast and easy solution to clean them. Starbright Ultimate Extreme Clean. Just spray it on the spot, hit it with a deck brush, and rinse it off. Dirty vinyl cushions, greasy drips around your outboard, even those suspicious stains your fishing buddy always seems to leave behind, don't stand a chance when you squirt a little Ultimate Extreme Clean on them. Starbright Ultimate Extreme Clean works great to clean your grill and around the house. You can use it on your truck or lawnmower. It gets greasy stains out of clothing too. Just spray it on any greasy spot, give it a light rub, and they'll look like new again. Make sure you pick up some Starbright Ultimate Extreme Clean and lose those greasy stains today. Assassin, the most trusted name in bass fishing, is also the top soft plastic lure brand for saltwater species. Sea trout, tarpon, redfish and snook can't resist a saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad. Its amazing swimming action sets the bar for swim bait designs. Others continue to try, but no one has been able to replicate the action of this incredible minnow-style lure. But Assassin has other proven designs. The native shiner-colored 5-inch shad assassin is my go-to lure when I'm targeting big trout. Redfish love the drunk monkey or the mudbug-colored 4-inch assassin shrimp. And snook and tarpon love their new little P&V dart bait in watermelon red flake or Houdini colors. You can rig these lures on a weedless worm hook or on the amazing Assassin Spring Lock jig head. So these are just a few of my favorite Assassin lures that help me and my customers stay happy. Check out what top professional anglers have known for years. Assassin lures simply catch more fish. Stop in your local tackle store or go to bassassassin.com to check out this incredible lure for yourself. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. Appreciate y'all tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to you by Petrucci Insurance. So I just was talking with, I had some new upholstery put on my boat here about a week and a half ago. And one of the girls that works over at the upholstery shop I heard her talking to another girl, and they're saying, they just raised my house insurance $600 more. And she goes, this is ridiculous. She goes, I couldn't afford it last year. I really can't afford it this year. This is crazy that it keeps going up like this. So I mentioned to her, I was like, hey, have you tried calling over to Petrucci Insurance? She goes, no, I know where they're at, but I've not called them. I said, well, they're an independent agent, and they can check around and try and find you a better deal. So I go back in to pick my upholstery up when it's finished. And she almost gave me a hug. She's like, you are not going to believe this. She goes, not only did they save me money, they got me a better policy. And I said, that's what they did for me when I switched to them. She goes, I've been with this other company, and I'm not going to name the company. She goes, I've been with them 20 years. And you would think that they would be trying to take care of me for being a loyal customer. And she said, I got a better policy, and I'm saving $1,100 over the current policy that I had. And I was like, are you kidding? She's like, no, $1,100. She goes, it's even less than I paid last year. And I'm like, man, that is absolutely fantastic. I am so happy for you. So there's just one more example of, you may think you're getting the best deal, but until you check, you don't know. So I would highly recommend calling Petrucci Insurance. It's 321-632-1200. Give them a call on Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Call them up and just say, hey, here's the square footage on my house. Here's the details on my car. Here's the details on my boat, whatever it happens to be. And then you can, obviously let them do some research for you and see if they can come up with a better policy that's going to save you some money. Or maybe they don't save you any money, but they get you a more complete policy that better fits what it is that you're trying to insure, which you never know. You might be undercovered. You might be overcovered. There's a lot of different things that can be adjusted. So just give them a call, let them do what they do, and hopefully they'll not only get you a better policy, but they'll save you some money in the process. So it's a super easy call. 632-1200. Call them up. Tell them you heard about it right here on Catch a Memory and ask them if they can help you. And hopefully they can. The other thing I was going to talk about is, because we're probably going to get a call here from Captain Kyle. He is no longer in the Azores. In fact, I think he's up in the Maritimes up off of Nova Scotia or something. Long story short, we're going to do the Starbright Cleaning Solution segment. So there's a product from Starbright that you guys and gals may not know about, but it's a really neat general purpose product, and it can be used on a lot of different items. It is their ultimate protector, and you can put this on fiberglass. It's sort of a liquidy type of an effect. You can put it on fiberglass. You can put it on painted surfaces. The ultimate protector I put on my deck brush, and then I actually just kind of brush down my outboard motor with it. I brush down my deck with it, and it leaves a nice protective UV protective coating that you guys and gals can, wash off blood, wash off the fish guts, the catfish poop, the whatever else it happens to be, you can wash the stuff off of your boat very, very easily. So the non-skid deck cleaner, non-skid deck wax is your standard for cleaning and then putting the protector back on it. But this is just a little lightweight kind of a protector that you can put on that can go on anything. It can go on your vinyl. It can go on your metal if you have a T-top or leaning post or whatever it happens to be. You can put this on anything. And like I said, I just squirt it on my deck brush, and I just brush everything down. And so when I get back out on the water, let's say I get a ladyfish that comes in the boat. You guys know how messy ladyfish can be. They hit the deck, blood and poop immediately spews out of every orifice on those things, right? And then they slime everything up. I'll simply take the deck, I'll take my bucket, wash the deck down, and whoosh, there it goes. Very, very rarely do I even have to scrub because this particular product creates a nice little sheen, nice little protective coating. That stuff just washes right off the deck, right out the scupper, and away you go. So I highly recommend trying the Ultimate Protector from Starbright because, like I said, you can put it on virtually every part of your boat, and it won't harm it. Hey, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got Captain Kyle calling in, Kyle Weaver calling in. We got a whole lot to talk about with him, so don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages.
Higgins here. I'm sure you're aware of the ongoing projects out there that are aimed at restoring seagrass and water quality in the Indian River Lagoon system. Well, here's one that I'm proud to have played a role in getting started, the Indian River Lagoon Clam Restoration Project. I collaborated with Whitney Labs, CCA, the FWC, and many other partners to implement this clam restoration project right here on Florida's East Coast. I would love for every one of you to get involved with this program. Your $20 donation will put 200 clams back into our lagoons. As they grow, these 200 clams will filter over 1 million gallons of lagoon water per year, greatly impacting the health of our local waters. Your contributions are tax deductible, so please help our lagoon by donating $20, $50, $100 or more to this cause. You can make your donation online at IndianRiverClamProject.org/support. Again, that's IndianRiverClamProject.org/support. And on behalf of myself and our waters in the lagoon, we thank you.
Sunrise Marina Bait and Tackle Shop. They've been serving Brevard County anglers for over 25 years. Sunrise has all of the gear that you hardcore anglers need for a productive day on the water, and they've got frozen baits like ballyhoo, sardines, squid, and more. Plus, Sunrise Marina has a great selection of live baits, shrimp, pinfish, croakers, mud minnows, fiddler crabs, and a whole lot more. So if you're looking for tackle, rods and reels, boating accessories, fresh-made sandwiches, or your favorite beverages, Sunrise Marina has got everything for you, and you can ice it all down with some bagged or bulk ice at their convenient, trailer boat-friendly drive-thru. Sunrise Marina also stocks some really cool nautical gifts, as well as the performance clothing and casual clothing that anglers like you and me like to wear. Make sure you stop by Sunrise Marina before heading out before your next fishing adventure. They're easy to find right across the street from Grills Restaurant at 505 Glen Cheek Drive in Port Canaveral. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. We are going to go to the phone lines. Captain Kyle Weaver is no longer in the eastern Atlantic. He is now in the northwestern Atlantic Ocean. So, so we appreciate you tuning in and listening to what old Captain Kyle has to say. Kyle, you know, you didn't get a chance to fish a whole lot this year, but the quality of the fish that you caught over on the eastern Atlantic, from the Azores to Madeira to wherever else you were, you had some incredibly good catches this year.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody, by the way. And glad to be back on this side of the pond where people speak the same language and I can get a bacon and sausages and normal food. So I can't complain about the food over there. But no, this year was unfortunately the owner of the vessel. People get caught up in work, and we went a long way for a short period of time, but we had some amazing catches this year, like you said.
I mean, how many blue marlin did you have that were 700 pounds or larger?
Well, we had 7 this year, and everyone was over 750.
Wow.
And we jumped off another potential, I would say it was over 1,000 based on, you can't call it a grander until you call it a grander, but I've seen enough to know what they look like.
Yeah, and it was a good one.
It was a large one. But, but no, it was a great season. We started off this year first fishing the Azores. It didn't look that big on the bite, and I'm still scratching my head on it because pretty good at calling the size of fish, within 100 pounds, which is like calling a 10-pound or 11 pounds, redfish or trout within a pound. But got upside of the boat and it started jumping. I'm like, man, that thing is way bigger than we thought. And we all called it 800, conservative. And then we jumped off the next fish of the season. We jumped off after 15 minutes. It was, I don't know how, it was definitely probably that 1,100-pound class fish. Got several jumps out of her, thought she'd be on, and then she ran out the boat and was gone. So that was after 20 minutes. And then we caught, which would have been the world record big eye all tackle, men's and females.
Really?
Yep. And I should know better because I weighed in a world record on 50 2 years ago and just didn't think it was that big. We went out and I was on the boat and my wife and daughter. It was very special. And it was just one of those epic, giant, big eye bites that, just, it's undescribable when you're seeing that class fish just chasing and just just up feeding for hours. And our first bite. And
these big eyes, what is the size range that they're what is a typical size versus the size that you see over where you were fishing?
So I'd say 150-pound fish would be small. I would say the average big eye there is like 200 to 250 pounds would be our average fish. And then a 300 class would be really, on the upper side, and then you get bigger. But a 300, for example, the 50 class world record we caught 2 years ago on 50 for the female was 293.
Okay, so just under 300 pounds.
Yep, just under 300. And this fish, we knew it was big. We killed it, put it in the boat. Like, what do you want to do? Let's gut it because there's such big fish, hard. I had a marlin bag, so we gut it. It was for food. Didn't think anything of it. It was a good friend of mine helped me mate, so we were light on crew. Excuse me there. We were light on crew, and we just gutted it and put it in the ice box and iced it overnight. And then I come down the next morning, we go to clean it. I'm like, man, this thing's way bigger than I thought. So we put the tape on it, and it was 80 inches by 62, and that short length formula with the conservative formula comes out to 385 pounds.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and this is gutted now. You got to remember as you gut a fish, you lose, the girth.
Yeah.
And then, so then we did the tuna formula after I called down to Zach at IGFA and everything. He goes, no, go try this one. And, so it was 385, 419, depending on what formula you decided to try and use. But long story short, it would have shattered, the all tackle men's, all tackle women's, all tackle everything. So, oops. So sorry for my wife.
Oopsie. So Jana could have been the all tackle world record. Actually, she is. Even though she doesn't have the piece of paper, she is the all tackle world record holder for a big eye and also ladies 50 pound class is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. So she didn't get the 50-pound class. That was a different female angler. But
okay.
So that was a local from Azores that caught that, and I was happened to be part of that, special memory. But anyways, long story short, yes, it was an absolute monster fish, and then a very famous, there was one wave that was 342, and it was 72 by like 58, and you got to realize this is an 80-inch fish.
80 inches, versus 72.
Yeah, 80 by 62 and that was very conservative, so, oops.
Yep.
But and then, on the way, it's just a slow season over there. It was a slow start to begin with. And then after this hurricane, the fishing got extremely good. We got hit by one of the hurricanes, which is not common for over there. And, we had another great trip where we had just another epic feed going on. And you got to realize these feeds, there's whales going on, porpoise as far as you can see. The tunas are driving the bait up. It's like what you see on the Blue Planet.
Yeah, it's a National Geographic's type moment where you've got these giant bait balls with even with humongous fish crashing through them.
Oh, it's amazing. And so this next feed I got onto it, I was by myself, nobody around, and it was just as far as you could see my radar 8 miles out was bird packs. As far as I could mark on the radar, it was just birds. And you pull up to one feed, it was bluefin tunas. You're like, oop, get out of here. Pull up to the next feed, it was giant yellowfins. Pull up to the next feed, it was big eyes. And then all of a sudden you'd be in the blind, and wherever those tunas were traveling to a feed, you get bit because we're trying not to catch tunas. And we ended up catching 2 bluefins, between 400 and 600. Several, we had a quad of big eyes. There's only 3 of us on the boat, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And then several yellowfins, and then we were 2 for 4 on blue marlins that trip.
Well, the last blue marlin that you sent me a picture of, that fish looked like it was at least 800 or better. Did we lose you? I think we might have lost Captain Kyle. He was a little scratchy, but now I think he's gone. Well, Kyle, if you get a chance, if you can hear, give us a call back. And it's still open? Huh? Yeah, he was getting scratchy, like his service was running out. Well, hopefully we'll reattach with Captain Kyle here, but really, really interesting stuff that Kyle has been telling us about, and hopefully we can get him back on the line, because that those type of moments that he has been able to experience over the past few years by going over to the Azores and Madeira and the Canaries and those places, to be able to captain those boats and to see the kind of sights that he's been seeing, just absolutely special. And it just, having done some of that type of fishing here on the other side of the Gulf Stream here for yellowfin and an occasional marlin or spearfish or something coming up in the spread, it's always neat to hear about areas where they do that on a regular basis. It's like the day-to-day thing versus something that you only get to do every so often. Is Kyle back on? Yes.
How's this, guys? Is it a little bit better?
That is better. Yes, sir. You were starting to get scratchy there, but so you were saying that you had the question I think I asked was that last marlin that you landed. You were heading from the Azores to Madeira, weren't you?
Yep. Yeah. So we were traveling, and we left the Azores, and of course I have a typical sea witch with a little, Ronzi or one of the plastic tails out there, try and catch tuna for our last tuna to bring home or whatever, and we catch a 750-pound blue marlin on an islander with a little paddle tail. So that was not. We were kind of bummed because we wanted the tuna instead of the marlin. And then when we get to Madeira, last fish of the season, we catch it, and I've got a mate from Bermuda, Peter Lewis. He's been my mate over the years, and then Curtis De Silva, who's he's a son to a famous captain over in Madeira, Frothy De Silva, and he runs a charter boat over there called the Luna, and Frothy's, Pesca Grossa, and they've all seen granders. I've seen granders. Pete's seen granders, and we have this giant fish on, and anyways, we caught it 800, and then we get her on the leader several times, and she was well over 9, north of 9 conservative, So that one could have made it. She was close, but it was just a great way to end the season for, long traveling.
Kyle, I always say it's too bad that you guys don't have a film crew budget. But if anybody wants to see basically what you have been experiencing for the last few years on your summers that you've been working over there, they can follow the Bad Company crew, because that guy's got like a whole film crew that films what they do. And so they can see exactly what it is that we're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a Bad Company. Anthony Shea, he's got several big giant yacht mothership programs. He's got 5 boats, sport fishes all around the world. And there's another boat out of St. Augustine called the Aftermath. And this is their first season over there, and they hired really good film crews too, and they have some amazing footage as well of what goes on in the Azores and where we fish. And it's just, I'm sure anybody that follows the Bad Company is pretty famous. So
Yes, yeah, they've been filming for quite some time, and so on all the socials you can search them and you can see what we're talking about. You know, some of the drone shots where they're shooting from the drone back at the boat have and have the marlin hooked up and jumping and doing those sorts of things. Really, really cool footage that they're getting of some of that stuff. You know, Kyle, we've got another break, but I wanted to ask you, because there are things that you have learned around the world that you can then bring back here. And there's a couple of things that I wanted to ask you about in the next segment if you have time to hold over. Do you?
Sure.
Okay. So
I do.
Let's go ahead and take our break, because this is stuff that guys over here can put into practice, and they can utilize to catch dolphin, wahoo, sailfish, marlin, tuna over on this side, over in the Florida area as well. So we're going to take our last break of the day. When we come back, we'll get back with Captain Kyle and get some more info for you guys and gals. Don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. The enzymes in StarTron improve the quality of all fuels so engines start easier, even if they haven't been run for several months. Don't just stabilize your fuel, tune it with StarTron. StarTron enzyme fuel treatment can also be used in 2- and 4-stroke engines, trucks, lawnmowers, generators, motorcycles, four-wheelers, basically anything that runs on gas. You can also get StarTron diesel fuel treatment for your truck, boat, or tractor, or construction equipment. If you want to fuel more power, tune your fuel with StarTron. Is your home under attack from pests or termites? Or have furry wildlife made themselves way too comfortable in your attic? At Integrity Pest Management, they specialize in getting rid of pests, termites, and wildlife safely and effectively. With years of experience and commitment to integrity, they protect your home from unwanted invaders using eco-friendly and efficient solutions. Don't wait for the damage to pile up. Call Integrity Pest Management today for a free inspection and let them restore peace and security to your home. Call 321-637-1199 or visit them at integritypestmanagement.com. Integrity Pest Management, where your home's safety and your peace of mind are their top priority. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Strike Zone down in Melbourne. Make sure to stop in Strike Zone and get all the tackle, gear, and accessories that you might need for your next fishing. Or, they do have some ammo in there, so if you're doing a little hunting, you may be able to pick up some ammo as well. We're going to go right back to the phone lines. We've got Captain Kyle Weaver on the line, and Kyle has spent the entire summer, once again, over in the eastern Atlantic, around the Azores, Madeira, those areas. Now, Kyle, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, that last fish, that last blue marlin that you had that you said was somewhere between 900 and 1,000-pound fish. People have, if you haven't pulled on a large fish before, you don't have any concept of the kind of strength that these animals have. You have a tiger by the tail or a bull by the horns, if you will. And so you guys are running some, sizable gear and sizable drag pressure to stop these animals. What size gear are you typically trolling with?
So over there, it's heavy tackle. It's the biggest reels you can buy. We fish typically 130 class Shimano's on a 130-pound mainline, IGFA mainline, in case we do get the world record.
Right.
But it's heavy. You got to go heavy for several reasons. The biggest is they're just big fish. 20 pounds of drag is not going to... 20 pounds of drag would be like 2 pounds of drag on a 100-pound tarpon, right?
They just don't even feel it.
No, you're not going to do anything. And the key is, on these marlin, we try and catch them on their first run. It's like if you imagine somebody as a track star that takes off on a sprint. If you can run up to him as soon as he's done sprinting and talk to him, he's out of breath, he can't do anything. If you can get him, which is very rare, if you can get him on that first sprint, you've got a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get somebody that's a marathon runner and you get them into that marathon run, the jog, you're not going to wear them down. They're just going to keep going and going and going. So drag setting in the North Atlantic up where we're at, you just have to go heavy, heavy drag. And I fish more drag on the bite than I would, when I say the bite where our drag setting is when the fish first eats strike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we fish at strike typically heavier than most people fish drag, period, in the Bahamas and the East Coast for several reasons. The first reason is there's such large fish. You're not going to have a lot of little fish, so they can handle that much drag. It's like locking up a drag on a snook opposed to, just locking up on a snook underneath the pilings to get them out of there, your structure.
Yeah.
Or catching one on the flat, you typically can go lighter.
Let him run.
Yes. But the problem with where we fish is the oxygen level, couple 100 feet down is a lot less because it's that cold nutrient-rich oxygen, or the cold nutrient upwellings are a lot shallower there. So the fish eat and they go down in that, and then they run out of breath and they just basically run out of oxygen and they die.
So
you've got a dead fish sinking.
Those upwellings that create the nutrients that when they come to the surface, the bait fish all come to, and then the fish all come and feed around, but they're not high in oxygen, is what you're saying?
It's very rich in food and very rich in life, but lower in oxygen. It's colder, rich. It's nutrient rich, low in oxygen.
Gotcha. So they can't re-energize themselves because they're not getting the oxygen in that type of water that they need.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Whereas, say, over in the Bahamas or where we live, and that fishing out of Canaveral, those fish can go a lot deeper and handle a lot deeper water and have no problem breathing, because it's not that cold, dense, nutrient-rich ocean coming from the north, pushing down and getting the upwellings.
Gotcha. So you start off at what drag setting typically when you're marlin fishing?
We fish 20 pounds on the bite, which is strike.
Uh-huh.
And then after that first run and the angler goes to the chair, I'll typically, once he makes that run, we immediately go up to 45 pounds of drag, which is extremely heavy drag.
Yeah, so you're doubling the amount of drag from the bite.
Yep. So then he settles down and we immediately go to 45 because it takes that much when you're backing down on these fish to even get that line back on the reel.
Okay.
20 pounds of drag, you wouldn't even be able to turn the reel. It'd just be slipping off the reel. And then if the fish isn't responding to that, every 10 minutes, we're going up 10 pounds of drag until we'll get up to 65. I mean, we'll go straight heavy drag on these fish.
Yeah, yeah. Like you say, if they've just sprinted, if they've just gone on a 3, 4, 5 jump run that took 300 yards or 400 yards of line in the process, then
their first run's usually 700 to 800 yards on these big
Oh wow,
fish.
wow, that's a lot of line out.
And that's you stopping the boat and going after them. Like, so immediately as soon as the fish eats, you can imagine he's taking off, just blistering away. You're clearing as fast as you can, and I'm already going in reverse. Half the time I'm in reverse, and the lures are still out. I'm going around my lures.
Gotcha.
We're chasing that fish on that first run, and they'll get 700-800 yards out on that initial run.
So it's like you lit the bottle rocket, and now you're trying to chase it down.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and fighting, growing up in the Bahamas and fishing light tackle and all that, we catch all these fish here on super light drag. There's no need to go up, if you go up when you need to, but these bigger fish in these colder water, we generally fight completely different than I would anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. Now speaking of the water itself, and then we'll get to something else. When you first got to the Azores, you were in a downwelling. The altimetry of the water is either flowing in an upward motion or in a downward. It's either sinking or it's rising. And when you first got there around the Azores, there was a heavy downwelling, if you will, versus an upwelling. And,
so
and the fishing was bad.
Yeah. So in Northern Atlantic, anytime you have a clockwise rotation, that's usually a downwelling. That's no good. Anytime you have a counterclockwise, that's an upwelling, and that's good. So you always want to try and find in the oceans on the northern hemisphere, you want to find a counterclockwise rotation, and that's always going to be your upwelling. And that upwelling is where all the nutrients from deep ocean is pushing up to the surface, where the surface predators live, and it's like two currents colliding together.
Gotcha.
So it's no different than the Gulf Stream hitting, the edge of the Gulf Stream, or it's no different than a inlet flowing out and hitting the edge. Right now we have all this rain in Florida, and you have the fresh water flowing out at all these culverts and hitting the salt water. Those are edges.
Yeah.
Some are better than others. It's always an edge. So you always, when you find those edges, the altimetry reading is you always want to try and find where that edge you know. And altimetry is very, very important. We look at several things. We've got technology now where I can read the surface currents. I can read 50 meters down, 100 meters down, 400 meters down with these new satellites. So I'm looking at not just the surface currents, but I'm also looking at bottom 50 meters down, because 50 meters is generally where our fish are living. And what is that current doing, and where is that current pushing into structure?
Gotcha. So guys that are fishing over here on the East Coast can look at the edges, the rips, you know, the things that we've always known to look for. But with the newer technology, they can actually find that on some of their electronics, or on some of these apps and services. They can actually find where the altimetry is best for them to fish, and transfer that type of information over to a dolphin, a wahoo, a sailfish bite here on the east coast of Florida, or maybe if they're going to the other side of the Gulf Stream and fishing the east side, you know, for those yellowfins and possibly marlins over there, mainly yellowfins. But they can follow that altimetry and find where the best places to fish are.
Absolutely, and that is the number one thing. And there's so many different apps. Most of them are paid. The better ones are paid. Like, I'm not going to mention them because there's so many of them out there. And you also have paid services that'll auction. You can say, hey, look, I'm fishing a tournament. And they'll do the research for you. The same thing as over the years, I've learned what to look for. And every time I hear a bite somewhere in the world, I immediately look and see what the conditions are like. And I try and duplicate that condition anywhere I go in the world. Doesn't matter if I'm in Cape Verde, Azores, Bermuda, the Bahamas, Costa Rica, it's all the same.
Gotcha.
And you're like, why is there such a good bite? And if you watch the bite in the Bahamas and you follow that body of water, all of a sudden you hear the bite going off in the Carolinas. It's the same body of water. It moved up to the Carolinas.
Moved north. Well, on a different note, you have got an opportunity for some of our listeners that I wanted to let you tell them about. Now, we're not talking fishing anymore, guys and gals. Now we're talking about hunting in one of the world-famous big deer places, Pike County, Illinois. And, Kyle, you have some openings in your schedule due to some guys that had to back out.
I do. I usually have 6 weeks of hunters that I have up there. But I had some medical issues this year, and I have, which is very rare because of demand, the peak of the pre-rut and peak going into the rut. So pre-rut, first phase of the rut in Pike County, Illinois, it's archery only, and I do no longer guide up there, but it's semi-guided. So I will pair you up depending on the farms. I got 4 spaces available, and I will put people on farms based on if it's a group of 4, group of 2, where I'll spread everybody out, and you get to hunt that farm the way you choose to hunt it. You come up, you bring your own tree stands. I tell everybody bring 2 tree stands, a morning spot, evening spot, and
okay.
I'll put you on the farm. Lodging's included. We have a really, really nice lodge right in the heart of Pike County, Illinois, which is, if anybody bow hunts, deer hunts, every TV show filmed in Illinois is in Pike County, Illinois.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
And you're going to see our average bucks we kill up there between 150 and 170-inch class. Our minimum is 145, but I don't really go on minimum. I go more by age structure. If it's your first time hunter and you've never killed a decent buck and you come back with something that's a little less, it's the biggest thing you've ever killed in your life, I probably am not going to say anything. But we try and keep these deer at, a good age to shoot. We're more in age more than we are by inches.
Yeah. So you're looking for a 4, 5, 6-year-old deer that's 150 inches or bigger. And in the land of giants in Pike County, Illinois, that's one of the few places that you can almost consistently say every deer that steps out in front of you that isn't a doe is basically going to be big. So that's an awesome thing.
Yeah. I mean, we have 3-year-olds that are going 160 inches.
Wow.
These are giant deer, and you will see them,
We got about 15 seconds left. How does somebody get involved with that if they'd like to do that?
Just give me a call, area code 321-749-7837, and I'll give you all the details and more information if you're interested.
Well, and if you guys and gals didn't get that number, you can always contact me through the Catch a Memory Outdoors Facebook page. message me in some way, and I will get you Captain Kyle's information. Kyle, thank you so much for helping us wrap up the show this week. Hopefully you get some anglers or some archers that can take advantage of that. And until next week, do exactly what Captain Kyle and I are going to do.